first. Forgive the noise in the background. That happens to be my daughter. Trying to sneak one of these in while she's here upstairs. So we're going to start with the fly front for the skirt. Now for the pants, it's a tiny bit different because you have an inseam instead of a straight seam basically, but the steps up to this inseam is basically the same. So with a pants, you'll have an inseam. Instead of stopping here, you'll make a little turn and go like this. That's the only difference. Here you're going to stop here and go straight. Only difference, but we'll still cover the pants fly when we get there, so you can just have a sample for that. And this is just the sample, so make up your mark here. And some things I want you to take note of is what will be the right side of the garment and what will be the left side of the garment as worn. Again, as worn. What would be the left side and what will be the right side of the garment, because that'll determine based on where you want the curve. You know, usually on your pants you see that curve that look like that. Depending on what side you want that on your pants or your skirt, that's what side you start. So basically it's the opposite. If you want that curve to be on the left side, you start on the right. You start the process on the right. If you want it to be on the right side, you start the process on the left side of the pants. So that's why you need to know what is the left and what is the right side of the pants as worn before you start the fly process. So what we're going to do, and I have a 1/2 inch seam allowance, is we're going to base from the top to the marking here, and then so this is a basting, and then you're going to change it to a permanent stitch. Go down a little bit, back stitch, go down, back stitch again here, and that's your first step. So go ahead and do that and come back. Okay, so that part's done. So this is basting down to your dot, and then you want to back stitch with a permanent stitch at this point, and back stitch. Then you want to press this seam, then you want to press it open. Okay, and then what you want to do is clip it right below where that curve is, and clip up to the stitch line but not through the stitch line. Okay, let's see if I can do that for you guys. So it's leading it. All right, so up to, and at this point you want to open it back up, and then open the bottom part, open the top part, your fly, and give it another press. Now this is how it would be worn, right? So this is your front. If you put your pants on, this is how it's going to be worn. This would be my left side, this would be my right side. I like my little curve to be on the left side. Okay, so I'm going to start my process on the right side, on the right flap. Okay, so what you're going to do basically is move everything over to the left hand side. Keep it this right flap. Okay, I'm doing it again. Yes, you can. So again, so you see it, so it's open because I want my little curve to be on the left hand side. Let's see. Oh, I won't do that yet. On the left hand side, I'm starting on the right, so all I'm doing is grabbing the right fly flap, holding it, having everything else goes to the left of me. And then what you're going to do is get your extra long zipper. Remember, I do an extra long zipper for everything, and you want it to be face down, so as worn. So the correct side of the zipper, and this one has the teeth, what is the correct side? It's not an invisible zipper, just a standard zipper. So that will be face down. And ignore the markings here. I had it on another project and I just took it off. And what you want to do is line the side of your tape to the seam. Okay, so line the side of your tape against the seam. Okay, and you're going to pin in place. Pin that part in place like that. And I'm gonna have to do a little bit off camera, but just showing you. Pins, and you basically pinning down to where you cut it. Okay. Now I want you to see that there's the little dot there, right? That's where you're going to stop your stitching. If you want, you can put a little dot on the actual tape itself, just so you know. Just try to stop it there. All right. So it's just brought over. That's just where you're going to stop your stitching as well. Okay. So again, my side, the side of the zipper tape is lined basically in the seam itself. Okay. So let me just pin this. So now what you're going to do is sew this side. You're going to sew this side, and just try to go in the middle, but if it's not directly in the middle, it's fine. None of this is going to be seen. Okay. With a standard stitch. So just go down in the middle from the top to the bottom. Okay. Okay, so we did our stitch to secure the zipper. Back stitch of both sides. Now we're going to remove the pins. Remember. And at this point, all you're going to do is flip the zipper over like that. So it was like that, right? All you're going to do is flip it over and sew. Get it. There we go. So about close to the folded edge here, so I would say about a 1/8 down again to your little dot that you see. I went a little bit below it, but it's fine if you do that as well, just to make sure that I got that dot got to that dot. So I went a little bit below it, but it's cool either way that you do it. Let's make sure you get to that dot. So again, about 1/8 away from this folded edge that occurs when you flipped it over. All right, permanent stitch, and once you do that, come back. Okay, so here we are with this one attached. So remember, we flipped it and we just sewed about 1/8 away from that folded edge. Everything was still to the left. Now what we're going to do is just open up your garment. Here it's a skirt, so we're just going to open it up with the wrong side still facing up. All right, and so your zipper is going to want to fall to the opposite side of what you've been doing. So just let it fall. And however it lays, don't try to force it, you know, a little bit over. Let it lay, pat on it. Make sure that it's flat. Okay, let it lay how it wants to lay. Okay, so as you can see, it's completely flat. Okay, and it looks weird because it looks like it's more on that side, but it is fine. That's the way it's supposed to look. Now we got to attach it to the left flap, right? So all you're going to do, it's flat, you know. You're going to pick up the left flap and the left zipper tape. Okay, have everything to the other side, and then because we're sewing it, you gotta turn it around. So we'll start from the bottom up. Okay. So here, I'm sorry, from the bottom up, from the flap. All right. So let's do that again. So when you opened it, it was here, but it wants to go on the other side. So all you're gonna do is flip it over, let it lay how it wants to lay, pat it so you know it's flat. You know, nothing, no bumps or nothing underneath. It's flat. Now you're gonna pick up the left flap along with the left zipper tape. Move everything to that side. So all you're working on is the left flap and the left zipper tape. But because the way you sew you have to have all your bolt to the left of you, you got to turn it around, and this will be natural because you just know you got to have all the bolt to the left of you, because it won't go through your sewing machine. And so now you're just going to have to sew from the bottom up. And remember, kind of start around that the dot. If you need to start below it just to make sure you get that dot. Then you just do that, but then go up to the top. This is a permanent stitch. Okay, do that and come back. Okay, so now you're here. You have attached the left side flap to the left zipper tape, right? So now what I want you to do is open it up completely. Turn it so it's facing you, like it will be worn. As you can see, your zipper is attached. Yay! So now, you see I wanted it on the left side, so the bulk of the material is on the left side, right? So it's two ways you can make your markings on the correct side, right? To make your little shape there. You can either take, I don't have it, tracing paper and put it to the right side of your garment there. All right, and take your tracing wheel and trace the outline. So you already have your J, not the J, but your backwards J, your little curve here. So all you're going to do is take your tracing wheel and trace over it like that. Okay, look. And you kind of see where it is here, so you can try to get through it like that, but you may have to. And at that point, sometimes, you know, here you can take pins, stick it through, make dots on the other side. So that's one option. As you see, there's the little lines there. All right. Another option is taking the actual pattern itself, and you kind of line it up where your stitch line is, because your stitch line corresponds to your stitch line here. So you're going to line it up, and because mine is on the opposite side, I have to turn it over here, and then you can outline it like so. So it may not be completely lined because I'm holding the phone, but then you just take your marking and, you know, trace along like that. All right, so either method that you use, you just want to make sure that when you sew, it's catching the zipper, okay? Because we want it to stay on this side. So what I usually do is whatever marking I have, right, what I do is just go inside of it. So, you know, 1/4 of an inch basically, just go on the inside of it of 1/4 of an inch and sew. So actually I use this line as my guide on my sewing machine, and line my presser foot up against it, and so just on the inside of it like that until you get there. And so that way you have a guide and it'll be straight. And the good point of here, usually say, oh, watch out for the zipper stop, but you don't have that because we used the extra long zipper, remember, so we don't have that issue. So just sew about 1/4 inch on the inside around, and what that does is catch the zipper tape. So remember, I'll turn it back over. When you sewed it, it automatically, because we started on the right side, we were going to have the shape on the left side, and it just wants to naturally lay on the left side. So all you're doing is, with that sewing on the front side, is just ensuring that your zipper stays on this side. It won't be flopping around. Okay, so using that line as a guide, around till you get to your stitch line here. Do that, come back. And one thing I probably is just good to do is, since that's your guideline, and we want to make sure that, you can see right here, so did it really? No, it didn't get it. Sorry. All right, so I think a good thing to do is, before you even start, so that's the guideline, I would say draw another line on the inside of your guideline and use that as your stitching line, especially when you come around this curve here, because sometimes it's hard to gauge the guide when you're turning with your presser foot here. So it may be good just to draw in your stitch line. So once you have your guideline, just go ahead and draw in your stitch line. And then with your, you can always erase the guideline once it's done. So at this point, all you do is open up your basting stitches. And I know I'm not going to be able to hold this and do this. So, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do it. So just open up a couple. And so you can see. I'll just open up them all, right? So opened up the basting stitches, and then you're just going to clean out your threads here, which is possible. Get them all out. Sorry, I'm trying to do it with one hand, y'all. Alrighty. So that is your fly zipper. And it is really that easy. Okay. So it's functional. Open it up for you guys so you can see. So there's your fly. All done. Okay. And so at this point, I would say maybe leave, after here, leave maybe 1/2 inch or 1 inch and cut this, and it's already tacked, so you don't have to really tack it. So that's it. So just cut it maybe a ½ inch or an inch below. Some people actually put a shield. I don't. Maybe later on I will, but I have not put a shield behind this. But I think it's pretty simple. I think the shield just goes on top. I won't even explain it. Don't want to confuse anybody. So at this point, this is your fly front. And that's it. It's very, 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 very simple. And this is for the skirt. Remember, this is for the skirt. It's a minor variation for a pair of pants. Very minor, but all the steps in itself is the same. But instead of, remember how we went straight down, I don't even lie flat now, but remember how we went straight down from that dot, went straight down with the pants. Because there's an inseam, we have to make a J shape. That's the only difference. From the dot, you make a J shape, and that's the only difference. All the steps to inserting the fly is the same. Okay, any questions on that? Let me know. And I'm still thinking about what type of skirt for our third skirt and final one, but most definitely I know I wanted this one because that is the most common, one of the most common finishes, zipper finishes, zipper and waistband. When we get there, it's basically the extension that we kind of did before, but it's for the fly. All right, so that's it. Any questions? Let me know. Bye.